Following video is not made for kids. Viewer discretion is advised. Hello to my subscribers. This is the TFangy coming to you with what will hopefully be a successful video. And today we're going to be taking a look at a video that is long overdue. And when I say overdue, I mean it's overdue by 10 months. And some of you guys might be thinking, why are you doing a top 10 video now? The year 2022 isn't over. If you're thinking that, stop yourself before you comment, because look down at the title of the video. This is my personal top 10 Transformers video from last year, 2021. That's why in the thumbnail of the video is a group shot of Transformers figures that were released in both the Kingdom and Studio Series line. I had Tarantulas sitting on there among them because it was the only spot I could find for him at the time. That's just a throwaway guy. Tarantulas is basically a red herring to try and let you guys figure out on your own which year this top 10 video is supposed to be about. Now, before we get into the actual top 10 list, this is some of the figures that made honorable mentions for me include, that didn't quite make the list, include Shatterglass Optimus Prime. I'm a Studio Series 86 Grimlock. The reason why he didn't make the top 10 list is because I still have him inside of his box. My plan is to wait for all 5 of the G1 Dinobots to be released in the Studio Series 86 line. Then I'll unbox them all and do a 5-in-1 review of all 5 of them at the same time. So that's my goal, is to wait for all 5 of the Dinobots to be released before I take them all out of their boxes. So that's why Grimlock's still inside his box. I'm waiting for, at the time this video is recording, Slag and Sludge have also been released, so I'm waiting for Swoop and Snarl. Other figures that made the list, as I said, included the Shatterglass Optimus Prime and Ratchet 2-pack. The reason why that didn't quite make the list is because it was a bit of a pain to get that 2-pack, and they were a bit expensive compared to the cost of what they were going for. Some other figures that didn't quite make the list include Studio Series Gnaw and the Sharkticons. I wasn't quite able to army build on the Sharkticons as much as I wanted. Had I been more successful in finding more copies of Studio Series 86 Gnaw, then they probably would have. The Sharkticons would have made the list. I was kind of hoping that Hasbro would make Gnaw the first Studio Series figure to be given a second release, at least in the Studio Series line. But to my disappointment, the figure that ended up doing that was Voyager class Hot Rod. Another last honorable mention that I will add to the list is Transformers Generation Selects Transmutate 8. The reason why she didn't quite make the list is because, as far as the fossilizers go, and as impressive figure, as entertaining as the gimmick of the fossilizers was, when all said and done, as great as the fossilizers were, and I've even done reviews about the most recent fossilizers I got at the beginning of the year. I didn't really get too much enjoyment with the fact that most of the fossilizers transform they don't even transform, they just disassemble and reassemble their body parts to go from a skeletal fossilized dinosaur to a robot. So now that we've got the honorable mentions out of the way, and I explained why the fossilizers didn't quite make the list, let's finally get into the top 10 Transformers figures of 2021. And this is the reason. Now, at number 10 at the bottom of the list is the figure that is the reason why this video is 10 months late, and why this video countdown list is unfortunately a prime example of the phrase "better late than never." I can't really get the figure out because it was a bit of a pain for me to try and pull it out the first time when I reviewed it. If you viewed it last week, but at number 10, is the Kingdom Arc. When all said and done, on the Arc. Even though a lot of Transformers fans and collectors didn't like the idea of the Arc having a robot mode, the Kingdom Titan class figure of the Arc has become the quintessential figure of the Arc to collect. I've looked around, and the Arc is still available on a few websites for retail price, even though it was released over a year ago. Apparently, collectors weren't as motivated to buy the Arc as they've been with previous Titan class figures released before this, such as the other 2 War vs. Cybertron trilogy Titans of Siege Omega Supreme or Earthrise Scorponok. But yeah, so even though I don't have the Arc action figure itself out here to show you guys, here's the instruction sheet to represent that. So Yeah, because it took me such a long time to get around to reviewing the arc, that's the reason why my top 10 countdown list of 2021 and took me 10 months to review. I didn't want to show off the arc before I was done reviewing it in the countdown list. Some other fate now. So yeah, the arc, even though it's my mind is working faster than my tongue, so that's why my voice is breaking up. But not only did it take me a long time to review the arc, but I wasn't certain about out at first if it would be worth getting it. And what motivated me to get the arc was the fact that the robot mode was the character of the last Autobot. Now, so the arc made number 10 because one of the reasons is because like all Titan class Transformers, it's the arc cost $175 when it was released last year. I believe the average price of a Titan class Transformers figure now is $180. I think that's what the current Titan class size is going for, but but again, I'm not certain. I apologize for not being certain about that. Now, I did change the list today, when I decided to finally get around to recording it. Some of the figures that I were going to show that made the list I was going to do individually, but then I decided to group them together. And then I'll explain why when I get to that, but I grouped 3 figures together, and that left 2 spots on the list open up. So I decided to fill the first of those 2 spots. Here at number 9 are 2 figures that the reason why they're being shown off together is because even though they are separate molds, the transformations on them are virtually identical, and whichever one you look at, one's a larger version of the smaller figure, and vice versa. There's one figure is a bigger version of the smaller figure. So at number 9 we have Transformers Kingdom, Cheetor, and Tigertron. And the reason why these guys made number 9 on the list is because, well, for me personally, since this is my own personal list, the reason why I put Cheetor at number 9 is because he was given to me as a gift from a close friend of mine, so shout out to you, Autocorrect Primer. I did have Cheetor. I originally had Cheetor on another part on the list, but the reason why I put him here at number 9 is because to go with Tigertron. The reason why these guys didn't make it up higher up on the list is because, well, unfortunately, make no mistake, Autocorrect Primer, I do appreciate you sending me Kingdom Cheetor as a surprise gift. But there have been reports of some parts on this figure breaking, and compared to the Netflix version of Cheetor, most fans and collectors haven't really found the Kingdom Standard Deluxe Class version of Cheetor that enjoyable. I personally enjoyed it wholeheartedly, and I thank you again, Autocorrect Primer, for that. And as for Tigertron, everyone was surprised last year in 2021 when Tigertron made the Transformers Hall of Fame for Best Figure of the Year 2021. But my own personal conspiracy theory for why that happened is because Tigertron wasn't released yet when the Hall of Fame voting went out, and I believe that a lot of Transformers fans and collectors believe that if they voted for Tigertron, it would get retailers to release him right away. Now, unfortunately, something that's been happening with a lot of the Transformers figures that were released last year in 2021 during the Kingdom line, and a lot of the lines is that a lot of the Transformers figures released last year is that apparently the plastic parts on these figures have been yellowing, and unfortunately on my copy of Tigertron, in the time since I've owned him, half of his parts have indeed yellowed, like most copies of Tigertron have. It's difficult for my camera to pick it up, but that's one reason why Tigertron made it this low on the list, is due to the yellowing of that, and that's another reason why some of the figures on this list I grouped together. So yeah, at number 9 is a tie between Tigertron and Cheetor due to having a similar transformation schemes. At number 8 is a Transformers figure that Transformers fans and collectors everywhere went crazy for when this figure was released. Once again, I actually got this as a surprise gift from my friend Autocorrect Primer. So yeah, Autocorrect Primer, you are the best for sending me this Transformers figure as well. And it is the Transformers Studio Series 86 Voyager class Wreck-Gar. So yeah, this figure, despite the spikes on the wheels making it not roll that well on a flat surface, this is the quintessential Wreck-Gar figure to have. It's currently personally my one of my favorite my favorite Voyager class Autobot figure from the Studio Series 86 line. I'm hoping sometime next week to get around to reviewing the Studio Series 86 Junk Heap figure that's retooled from Wreck-Gar. But yeah, I am really thrilled with how Wreck-Gar turned out. And overall, I do enjoy the design of him anyway. And so yeah, Wreck-Gar made number 8 on the list. At number 7 is a Transformers figure that I originally wasn't going to put on the list, but all things considered, I realized that this has become one of the most rare and hard to find Transformers figures of the Kingdom line. And after I grouped the Transformers figures that I was originally going to put on the list separately, I figured this would be one of the best figures to fill the empty space on it. And so at number 7 on the list, we have Transformers Kingdom Pterosaur. So yes, Pterosaur is one of the most rare and hard to find figures. This is because he was released as an Amazon exclusive in the Transformers Golden Disc collection. During the current year 2022, Hasbro and Takara Tomy repainted Pterosaur in a paint job that matches his original Beast Wars figure. The Kingdom version of Pterosaur here has the paint job that he had in the original Beast Wars cartoon, while the repaint matches his original Beast Wars figure that it was released in the Buzzworthy line as an exclusive to Target stores here in the States. But yes, Kingdom Pterosaur, despite the fact that he's a retool of Kingdom Arizor, he is a pretty great Transformers figure to have, and despite its flaws, I do wholeheartedly enjoy the way this figure came out, especially due to the fact that it's a retool of Kingdom Arizor. So yeah, number 7 is Kingdom Golden Disc Collection Pterosaur. And then at number 6, we have the Transformers figures that I've been saying now I was originally going to put separately on the list. The reason why I decided to put the 3 of them together is because, well, they're designed to interact and group with each other, and also these figures have all been given repaints either in the same line or in other lines that this year. And for most Transformers fans and collectors, the repaints of these figures are the superior versions than these originals. Well, for one of them at least. One of the figures, fans are divided if the repaint is better than the original or not. And the third one, technically it's been repainted into a different character, but at number 6 we have 3 Transformers figures standing together, and it is these 3 guys right here. Kingdom Cyclonus, Kingdom Galvatron, and Studio Series 86 Scourge. So we have the Heralds of Unicron on at number 6. And again, I wasn't going to do these guys separately, but now 10 months later, after Kingdom had completed its run, Galvatron's been given a repainted figure in the Transformers Legacy line, where the battle-damaged paint job on him has been removed, and he's now clean and polished. Also, infamously on the Kingdom version of Galvatron, which my copy originally had, the joints on the center of the shoulders were put on upside down, so you had to modify Galvatron to Kingdom Galvatron to get his shoulders fixed. Out of all 3 of these guys, my favorite version, unfortunately, is Scourge due to the fact that even though he was released in the Studio Series 86 line, he is pretty fantastic. He's been repainted into the sweeps, and Scourge didn't receive as much of a long-standing run as the sweeps did, and so a lot of collectors bought up the sweeps because they missed out on Scourge. And unfortunately, Cyclonus, he's tied with Galvatron in being my second favorite. A lot of Transformers fans and collectors said that when the Kingdom line was announced and when it wrapped up and all said and done, Cyclonus was one of the best figures to come out of the Kingdom line. And unfortunately, in the year since his release, infamously, Cyclonus' shoulders have been yellowing. They're actually now like a dull brownish purple. I don't know of any other joints on Kingdom Cyclonus that are yellowing. One of the reasons that prevented Cyclonus from getting higher up on the list is that here on my personal copy, this landing gear on his leg, it does not want to stay locked up and standing up in robot mode like this landing gear does. It flops down, and so that's why I put a rubber band on there to hold it in place, because without that rubber band, it would just stick out like that. And I would have bought a duplicate copy of Kingdom Cyclone, only if I'd had the motivation to do it, but I figured what would be a loose landing gear to check out another $30 to buy a replacement Cyclonus figure. But yeah, that's a case for all three of those guys where the pros and cons kind of evened out with each other, which is why the Heralds of Unicron, Galvatron, Cyclonus, and Scourge together all made the number 6 spot on my personal list of top 10 Transformers of 2021. The next figure I probably, before I started recording the video, I probably would have put it lower on the list, but this figure is a character that I was really excited to get, and this might be the most surprising figure for you guys to see on my list. Especially since it made number 5, it made the top 5 of the list of best Transformers figures of 2021. This is a figure that a lot of Transformers fans and collectors weren't too excited for. The reason why I was super excited to get this figure is because it's a character that I didn't have any figure of until I got this version. So at number 5, we have the Transformers Generation Selects Voyager class Artfire with his Target Master partner Nightstick. And yes, that's the same Nightstick that is partnered with Cyclonus. Long story short, Takara Tomy didn't like the idea of Cyclonus being a Target Master, so they just gave Nightstick to a Autobot Target Master they created called Artfire, who is a repaint of Generation 1 Inferno, just like the Generation Selects figure here is a repaint of Kingdom Inferno. And I actually do have an upgrade kit that I found on eBay that allows Nightstick to sit on the top center of the ladder. Without that upgrade kit, Nightstick would be sitting on this 5mm peg right here on the back of Artfire. But yeah, I am happy to finally have an action figure of Artfire in my Transformers collection. The reason why Artfire didn't quite make the top, only made the top 5, and he didn't make the top 3 in the list is because, just like Tigertron and Kingdom Cyclonus, these parts here on the base of the ladder of Artfire's fire truck mode, those parts have yellowed as well. So there are a lot of fantastic Transformers figures that were released last year in 2021 that now a year later in 2022, with time, exposure to heat from the sun, and a bunch of other stuff that fans and collectors are speculating to why it's happening, the plastic on these Transformers figures are yellowing, and it's not just those made of white plastic. It's several colored plastics they're either turning a dull yellow or they're turning into a dull brownish color. Or no one quite knows the reason why that's happening. But a lot of Transformers fans and collectors are hoping that the figures in the Legacy line and future Transformers figures won't suffer the fate of what in the minds of Transformers fans and collectors last year in 2021 were some of the best Transformers figures in the Kingdom line, because this yellowing on Transformers figures has made it soured the opinions of Transformers fans and collectors, and would this yellowing not exist, then these Transformers figures would probably be a lot more coveted and be more sought after by collectors today. Now, at number 4 is one of the last Transformers figures that I purchased last year in 2021, and it was a figure that I was most definitely excited to get. The reason why this figure only made number 4 and it didn't make the top 3 is because, after some consideration, the figures that made the top 3, they are most definitely top 3 worthy Transformers figures of 2021. Not just for me personally, but from the reactions I've seen of Transformers fans and collectors, these are the top 3 Transformers as well. So at number 4, or my personal number 4 all-time favorite figure to get last year in 2021 is Shatterglass Megatron. I love the idea of the Shatterglass universe, and when Shatterglass Megatron was announced, this figure here is what motivated me to get the Shatterglass Optimus Prime and Ratchet 2-pack. I love the idea of having a heroic version of Megatron in my Transformers collection, and I'm hoping that if a cartoon series or even at least a comic book is done of following the premise of Transformers Legacy, where Transformers fans I meant to say Transformers characters from across the entire Transformers franchise from the various universes end up coming together and meeting each other. I hope we get an opportunity to see Shatterglass Megatron interact with Generation 1 Optimus Prime. I'd love to see a heroic Optimus Prime and Megatron team up. up with each other and defeat their evil doppelgangers. But yes, Shatterglass Megatron made number 4 on my list of favorite Transformers figures of 2021. Now, the figures who made number 2 and 3, I decided to reverse them because the figure who originally made number 2 on the list, after all things considered, I have to admit, as great as I am as happy as I am to have this figure in my collection, the figure that originally made number 3 is one that I was more excited for and to get to my Transformers collection. So at number 3 on the list, we have arguably one of the most popular character from Transformers Beast Wars, and it is Transformers Kingdom Voyager class Dinobot. Now, supposedly some parts of Dinobot are turning brown, are yellowing and turning brown as well. I can't really see it on my copy of Dinobot. I don't know if it's just because I'm blinded by the fact that Dinobot's main paint job is brown and he's made almost entirely out of a grayish brown plastic. Supposedly the shins on his lower legs are yellowing. I personally cannot see it on my copy of Dinobot. But yeah, I am really excited to have Dinobot in my Transformers collection. I'm really thrilled with how his paint job matches up with the one that he had in the Transformers Beast Wars series. But yes, I really enjoy how Dinobot turned out. When you get him for the first time, his transformation can be a little tricky to get it, but once you know where all the parts go and everything lines up properly, getting him to transform back and forth between robot mode and Velociraptor mode is pretty doable. So yes, Dinobot made number 3 on the list, and the character who usurped Dinobot and was originally going to be number 3 and put on number 2. The reason why I switched it is because looking back at how my attitude with the Transformers figures that were released last year in 2021. On this figure, I was much more excited to get than Dinobot because, unlike Kingdom Dinobot, this Transformers figure, like some of the others I mentioned on the list, such as Artfire and also Shatterglass Megatron, Tigertron. If I didn't mention it, I apologize, but I'm saying it now. I did not have an action figure of this Transformers character before, or the one that was released last year came out. So at number 2 on the list of my favorite Transformers figures from 2021 is Transformers Kingdom Beast Wars Megatron. Yes. So yeah, Kingdom Beast Wars Megatron. He made number 2 on my list of favorite figures from 2021. I was overjoyed when this figure was shown, when it was announced that Transformers Kingdom was going to focus on bringing back characters from Transformers Beast Wars. Again, as I said, before the Kingdom line, I did not have any action figure of the Beast Wars version of Megatron. So when this figure came out, I was beyond thrilled. I was overjoyed to get a hold of this figure, and when he finally was released, it just made my day. I remember, even now, even though it's been over a year, almost 1.5 years that I've had this figure in my Transformers collection, every time I look at Kingdom Beast Wars Megatron, I still feel the same level of excitement that I had when I first took him out of his box and transformed him from robot mode into T-Rex mode. That said, Ed, in the minds of some Transformers fans and collectors, Beast Wars Megatron, in their opinions, isn't quite the best figure of the Transformers Kingdom line. That's due to how some of the panels and parts of him end up when you transform him from robot mode to T-Rex mode. Some of the parts, they end up in places that don't quite feel that secure, and I don't know how true it is, but some Transformers fans and collectors have broken some of their copies of Kingdom Beast Wars Megatron if they didn't get the panels quite lined up properly. And you do have to apply some force on some of the parts of Beast Wars Kingdom Megatron that are thin plastic, and it does feel like you could break him if you're not too careful about it. But yeah, Kingdom Beast Wars Megatron, for me, he's my favorite leader class figure that was released in 2021, and so he made number 2 on the list. And so number 1, and if Beast Wars Megatron made number 2 on the list, number 1 might or might not surprise you guys, but just as much as I was excited to get Beast Wars Megatron, I was also thrilled to get the figure that made number 1 on the list, and it is Transformers Kingdom Voyager class Optimus Primal. Well, technically this is the second figure of Optimus Primal that I added to my Transformers collection, the first being the Power of the Primes, a leader class Optimal Optimus figure back in 2018, but the smaller Optimus Primal figure that was part of that Optimal Optimus figure, it transformed from Optimus Primal's robot mode into a control vehicle for Optimal Optimus's alternate mode. But yeah, ever since I watched the Transformers Beast Wars cartoon, back in 2017 is when I watched it. I have been wanting to add a proper Beast Wars Optimus Primal figure that has a Gorilla Beast mode to my Transformers collection. And despite its small size, I wholeheartedly enjoy how the Kingdom Optimus Primal figure came out, and I do not regret at getting it and adding it to my Transformers collection, nor do I regret putting Optimus Primal at the number one spot of being my favorite figure that I purchased last year in 2021. So yes, this has been my personal top 10 countdown list of Transformers figures of 2021. Hopefully history won't repeat itself, and hopefully before the current year ends, I will get my top 10 Transformers figures of 2022 list done before the new year. So I got a lot of Transformers reviews to catch up on. I've got a grand total of, I believe, 20, there's at least 20 Transformers figures that I have to review. Thank you guys so much for watching my top 10 Transformers figures list of 2021. I know I'm late to the game by about 10 months, but hopefully, I won't be late for this year's top 10 countdown list. Thank you guys all so much. This has been the TFan Geek, and until next time, you guys, stay safe, stay healthy, keep an eye out for my reviews, and until next time, you guys, transform and roll out. Goodbye, everyone.